I only use the foaming polyurethane no matter what. It stops the water fast, so everybody likes it. This is what I heard not so long time ago. I suddenly remembered the story of sales rep who had only been selling fast-reacting polyurethane to one of his clients, a team of metro tunnel sealing workers. But that was only a temporary waterproofing, of course. It made him sell the resin over and over again because, open pores of this material constantly got filled with water and started to leak again and again. I'm sure that this episode will help you avoid these mistakes. Hello, my name is Mateusz Furs and I welcome you to the Concrete Injection Made Easy podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and sit back listening. This is episode number 3, in which we will dive into details to decode the PU-based injection resins. I invited Stephan Delarue from Webac, Germany, to help me understand the complexity of this topic. He is an expert in concrete injection. PU resins seem to have no secrets for him. You will hear in a moment how many factors you need to take into consideration to solve a situation. We compare fast-reacting resins with the long pot-life ones. Stephan tells exactly what pump and injection material to use to be able to stop fast-flowing water. Okay, let's listen to this full of details conversation. Please meet Stephan Delarue from Webac. Hello Stephan, thanks for being here today, even though you are during your holidays just after Easter. We are here to talk a little bit about PU-based resins.
Yes.
How do you find this?
It's a good idea. It's a good thing. Thanks first for your invitation to be
Sure, no problem.
on the podcast with you today. So it is a good idea to, start a discussion about polyurethane resins and crack repair, and because there are a lot of systems, a lot of options on the market. So it's good to minimize it to some products and to give a good advice, or to give a direction about all that crack injection problems around construction sites and everything.
Exactly. I see this matter from the two different points of view. First of all, I was a product manager for injections years ago. At the moment, I run an applicators company for 7.5 years. So these are 2 points of view. From time to time, they are different. Many times they are different. But now, as a contractor, I take the full responsibility of my jobs being done. So I really need to know how to choose the right resin for this given situation on the job site. So this conversation that will be helpful for me and for other contractors around the world to be able to choose the right resin. So let's discuss about these possibilities. What kind of resins, PU-based resins, do we have on the market in general?
Yes. So first we have different types with different options. I will start. Let's say the first group of polyurethane resins on the market are the foaming resins, which means they create a foam 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, or much more on free expansion.
Okay, so that's great. I buy 1 kg of given resin and I have 30 liters of 1 liter or even more liters. So this is great business for me.
Yeah, it is a great business for you, but I suggest, or let's say, it will be helpful in in, let's say, only a few situations, especially if you have to stop water, where you need a fast reacting material, where you need a foaming factor, which should be higher than 2 or 3 times. But for crack injection, foaming resins are, I would say, not the first choice in that case.
Okay, so you mentioned one given type of the resin, which is the foaming resin, and now you say that it's not good for the crack, like a concrete crack injection. Why is that?
It is helpful for that. For example, the target should be, let's go. The target is, you see a crack and there's water coming out. Let's say maybe under higher pressure. Therefore, these resins are designed. They are designed to, let's say, stop the water flow or the water pressure, and to make sure that with your, let's say, rigid material, with your PU injection resin, to penetrate into the crack fissures, and will not get washed out. This is the first point. Let's say a foaming resin should be applied if you have water pressure, let's say a higher ingress of water in the cracks or in the structure, let's say like this.
Okay, so this kind of resins, foaming resins, allow me to stop the water, and this is the first step.
To reduce the water flow, to make sure that your next step, that the crack injection with your next with your let's say basement of polyurethane resin will stay inside and will not get washed out immediately.
I see. Okay. Frankly speaking, I cannot imagine a crack that has so much water coming through it. It's like it's very narrow, it's very small, so very limited amount of water can go through it in the certain given period of time. So I don't even use foaming resin into when considering crack injection. I must admit that we use rather long pot life with the resins that are not foaming, not at all, or almost not at all. Like, you know, we use foaming resins for different kind of applications in this industry.
Yeah, that's right. For example, foaming resins, to say a final thing about foaming resins, they are mostly designed for, let's say, for water stoppings, sheet pile walls, or wherever you have to stop a huge or let a water amount under higher pressure. It is not so designed for crack repair. I give you the right for crack repair, and you have to close it, or have to stop the water penetration inside the crack. It is better to use a polyurethane resin, which has a lower viscosity, a less, let's say, a longer time to react in contact with water, and also, let's say, a long pot life.
Yeah. Okay. So we get this foaming and fast reacting PU-based resins. How do we use them? Like, how do we mix it? How do we pump it? What kind of pump do we use? Can you explain a little bit on this?
Okay, there are two different options you have with these products. You have, on one hand, you have the standard formulation. Let's say you have an A and B component. Maybe you have also an accelerator which can be added to that. Therefore, let's say you mixed A and B together in the amount that you need. Most of these products are designed with a mixing volume, or let's say a volume ratio of 1 part to 1 part, which means 1 liter of A and 1 liter of B. Maybe you can add some accelerator on the A component to make it, to minimize the reaction time, which means, let's say the standard reaction time is 20 seconds. If you need it faster, add an accelerator to make it down to 10 seconds, or let's say.
Sure.
These can be, the advantage of this product is it can be applied with a 2-component pump or a 1-component pump. the material reacts only with water, which means if you mix it and you fill it in your hopper of your one component pump, it can stay there. It can
For
stay
how
there.
long?
Pardon me?
For how long? You mean you know, I'm always afraid of leaving a resin in the pump and going
That's
somewhere
right.
else. Like, you know,
That's right.
we won't go to have lunch during the injection job. So how long can we keep the resin that is already mixed in the hopper of the injection pump?
It depends on your pot life. That's what you know for sure. But for example, if you use the polyurethane foam resin, you won't stop. You will stop the water. Then it will not be, let's say, so long in the pump. You mix it, fill it in the pump, and inject it. This is the point that you work with that. Maybe do it in steps to see the reactions during the injection with that material. But it can stay, let's say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes inside the pump to make sure that you have enough time to apply it.
Sure.
With a one component pump. You can use also a two component pump, which delivers A and B in separate lines to your mixing head, and will get mixed in a mixing head, let's say in front of the packer. Then you have more time because you have no resin, active resin inside your injection lines or injection pumps. Makes it much easier.
So I like it very much because the reaction starts right before the packer.
That's right.
Not in the pump 15 or 20 minutes ago, but right there, just
That's
before
right.
it is being injected. So I like it. I like this solution very much, but it works only for, as you mentioned, resins that are being mixed 8 to 8, 1 to 1. Mixing ratio, and nothing else can be applied because like there are some resins that their mixing ratio is 1 to 2 or even 1 to 3 in volume, so it's not possible to use 2K pump for such resins.
No, it makes it also easier, especially if you have to calculate your accelerator to that. That makes it easier. It's easy to apply on site if you have a mixing ratio 1 part to 1 part on volume, A and B. And also, for example, one final thing, I use two component pumps. For example, two component pumps in a combination with polyurethane foaming resin. If I have to stop, let's say, a huge or bigger water amounts, two component pumps have the option or have their pluses. You have a higher amount of resin, which you can inject in a shorter time. This is necessary if you work with a foaming resin, because there you need, let's say, more amount of resin to stop it immediately. This is not like you want to do it in a standard crack repair. There you need, let's say, a slower version, longer pot life to penetrate it deeper into the structure.
As we said, when we inject the resin, I mean, how much resin can be necessary to fill the tiny crack? There is no volume, almost no volume inside the crack, so you don't need so much resin, and that is why I like to mix at most 200 milliliters A and 200 milliliters of B, which combined gives you even less than half a liter of ready mixed resin, which is very little comparing to what we need to stop the water. When we are stopping the water with high foaming resins, we need
more material, maybe a two component pump to deliver much more resin. Other types of packers, for example, with a higher inner diameter, with a bigger inner diameter, where you can push much more material instead of a standard small crack injection packer. So these are completely different situations.
Absolutely. Okay, so can you tell us, like, if you were the one who makes a decision, when exactly would you use 2K pump to stop the water, And when would you stay with the 1K? Like, what are this, what to take into consideration to choose it?
Yeah, for example, if you have to like we discussed, if you have to, I would use a one component pump, sorry, for the standard crack repair. That's not necessary because there you have a less amount of resin which is necessary to fill the crack. You have different packers. If I have to go outside behind the structure, maybe to stop there the water, to block there the water ingress, or let's say to stabilize the soil outside. Therefore, I suggest to use a two-component pump because there I know if I do the analysis first on the side, then I know, okay, we have to go behind the structure. We need much more material. We need much more pressure, or let's say a higher amount of the material.
And faster reacting resins.
Yes, faster reacting resins, all that stuff. Then I use a two-component pump. It is, but let's say from 100%, 20% or 10%, I use a two-component pump. 90% can be done with a one-component pump. And there you have also different types of pumps. As you know, you have piston pumps there, one component piston pumps, one component diaphragm pumps. So they have different options also.
Exactly. I remember when I was starting my business in 2013, my idea for getting a two-component piston pump was like in 2 years from the day I was starting. But then 2 big projects came and I was like to give it to someone else or to get a pump and do it by myself. So I bought 2K pump in my 6th month of new business, and I wasn't waiting for another 2 years to come to get it. So and I must say that these 2 projects allow me to earn money for that pump fast. It was really so much faster than working on the regular basis with the one component pump. So this is another advantage of 2K pump, that you can stop the water. You can really solve the huge problem on the site, and you are getting paid for it much more than regular injection. Yeah. I think that this kind of situation is also you can see it also in Germany. Am I right?
Yes. So finally, the two component, I like them also. I like them if we have to, let's say, inject a higher amount. For me, it is also, let's say, much more difficult to work with that kind of pump or these type of pumps if you need a lower pressure, for example, or especially in crack repair. It's not necessary to use let's say 50 liters or 10 liters per minute to inject into that crack. It is on the other hand, for cheap pile walls, or I explained to you, to stop water, then it's necessary to use it or to do a curtain injection with a two-component piston pump. It is completely different to the crack repair, to the standard crack repair, which we can where we can use one component piston or one component diaphragm pumps.
Exactly. As far as I remember, one component, this regular, as you mentioned, almost 90% of job sites needed equipment can give you at most around 4 liters per minute. For like taking a crack injection is still way too much. You don't need that much amount of resin per 1 minute. 4 liters. Wow, that's too much. Like it takes almost half an hour to inject 1 meter, because you need to be patient. You need to slowly adjust the the pressure on the pump and to observe the consumption of the resin in the hooper. And that is why I love my hoopers made of plastic PET bottles, because it allows you to really notice the difference in the level of the resin. So yeah, and it forces my employees to mix very little amount of resin at the same time. So I'm not losing money with not used and thrown away resin on the job site. Let's talk a little bit about one special PU-based resin that is only one component, not only being pumped with the one component pump, but one component. How does it work, and when we can use this kind of resin?
Okay, look, one component resins, they are, let's say, they are also foaming resin. They are designed for, let's say, for easy application. That's the background maybe for that, and to react on site really fast. But these resins, they react only with, it is a one component resin, which means you have not a B component or whatever.
Yeah.
The second component or your B component will be the water. So
the water that is just, the water we are trying to stop.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So, therefore they are designed to get in contact with the water and to react. It will be, the application can be done also, let's say, if you have a water stopping sheet pile walls, on sites, underground sites where you have, let's say, a joint, huge, bigger joint which is leaking. There you can use them because they will react if it comes in contact with water. If there will be not water present, or let's say after the first contact, your next material which will be injected behind your first shot, it will be not find any water, and it will be not reacting. This is the point. This is the main point, which should be, let's say, explained to the clients. Look,
okay,
can stop water, but if there's not water there, or if the water is not present, it will be not reacting. This is the point.
Okay, tell me if you had a situation that someone used this resin 1K, only 1K resin, but you use, like, imagine the situation, you have the 2K pump and you still use this 2K pump to inject this resin. One component is the resin, and the other component is the water being injected simultaneously, like 1K component, to make the reaction happen even faster. Have you seen something like this?
Yes, look, Matthias, it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, a client called me. It is not a concrete repair. It was a injection against uprising moisture in a brickwork, but they used one component resin, and they know for sure the two component resins how to use, but they tried a one component because they thought, okay, maybe it's faster, and for any kind of reason, I don't know.
Yeah.
He called me 2 days later after the injection was finished or was done. And then me, and there's something wrong with the product. If you let's say remove the packer, we have some foam coming out of the packer holes, and then look, it's completely normal because the water, the material needs the water for the reaction, and if you pump continuously and maybe
only resin,
there's no water present because the reaction is done, because the foam pushed out the water, and you remove the packer, the moisture and comes again to that material, to that one component, and it will react. This is standard. This is not a surprising situation. It is these products, they need water for the reaction. If no water will be there, they stay there in the borehole or in the concrete, waiting for new water which comes to them, and then they react again. So this is that for me, it's not a good controlled reaction. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. There is always a risk that there will be some resin that didn't have the opportunity to get in touch with the water,
Yes.
and the water has been stopped like a minute earlier, and now this resin is staying and waiting, and
Waiting.
it can
Yes.
wait forever for its reaction.
Yes.
So you really have to be careful when using this 1K pump,
Yes.
1K resins. They are friendly to use, users friendly, they say, but as everywhere, you need to be careful.
Yeah. And
Okay,
you need to know your let's say your target that you have to fulfill.
I think that I wouldn't use, and I have never used, an PU-based resin to inject into the brickwork to stop this, rising moisture. If I use injection, we take the gel, but this is totally different
It's a,
subject for
it's a
another
totally, yeah, it's
another
totally
3 or 5 hours conversation. I think. We have a special type of uh, PU-based resin that have very long. I mean very long. I mean over 100 minutes long pot life. What is the purpose for this kind of resins?
Okay, look, if you talk about a long pot life and constructions, thicker constructions and a crack repair in a concrete, let's say, a structure where you have a thickness of a meter, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The target is to close the crack. The target should be, or let's say, the filling ratio of the crack should be 90% or higher.
Mm-hmm.
And let's
Yeah.
say the standard should be 90%. That's the target. And if you use a resin which has let's say a short pot life or a short reaction time, then you are, let's say, not sure to penetrate the whole structure or the thickness of the structure. This is the advantage of, or this is the reason why such resins are developed, to give you the chance for you to do during the injection to penetrate the whole crack in the thickness that you need.
Okay, I always been thinking about this long pot lives. It's like if you imagine a graph and you have the time and the viscosity. So this long pot lives gives you the low viscosity for a longer amount of time.
Yes.
So you can inject with the lowest possible pressure in order not to break the construction, because we are there to repair it, right?
Yes.
So we need to use the lowest possible pressure on the pump, and then you don't have to be hurry because you have the long pot life, you have still a low viscosity, and when you combine it with the mixing really little amount of A and B components, you still use fresh low viscosity resin, and this is great in injection, that you can have control it the whole process of injection.
Yes, that's right. If you mix the material, let's say, and it's fresh, you have your, let's say, viscosity, or have a low viscosity, 100 MPa or 200 MPa, and you are right. As long, or let's say, if you need 30 minutes for the injection, this increases also your viscosity of the resin, which is mixed maybe in your hopper. Ideally, it's good to make it fresh by fresh. So to mix a small amount to make sure that you have a low viscosity and the option a long pot life to penetrate the whole structure. And the long, let's say, the long pot life has also the advantage that you can do your second injection, which means after ending your last packer, after inject your last packer, you have to go backwards to your first packer to re-inject the crack again.
And this is, oh my God, I'm really happy to hear this, because this is very common mistake, I must say. When I was a product manager years ago, I was telling this as exactly as you do it at the moment, because people tend to forget it. I've been telling that every 6 or 8 packers, you come back to this section, to the first one of 6, and you inject it once again. And can you explain us and our listeners once again, why is it so important to come back and re-inject the packers?
Yes, because the reason for that is you inside the structure you have small fissures, which are let's say small fissures or small honeycombs inside your crack structure. You have not the crack which is let's say a clean crack.
Yeah, the crack is not only the crack itself. There are some additional cracks around, and some pores and so on.
Yes, and during your injection, you push the material also in that fine crack areas inside your crack edges. Mm-hmm. That means the material disappears into that, and therefore it is necessary to refill these, let's say, first 5 or 6 packers again, to make sure that the material is or the crack is filled in the right ratio, and that you are not you are losing resin for sure, because it penetrates in other honeycombs or fissures. And to make sure that the crack is always be filled, re-inject your first packers, 5 or 6 packers, then go forward to the next one, go backwards. Just try everything during your pot life, during your gel time with your material.
Okay, I absolutely agree, and this is very important to take it into consideration especially while injecting a very little small cracks in the concrete, because then you make whatever is necessary to really fill it. As you mentioned, 90% of filling the crack is necessary to say that the crack is really filled and really sealed.
Yes.
Okay. I find one more good explanation of using the long pot life of resin, which is injection hoses. Can you tell us a little bit about this kind of application?
Yeah, injection hoses, they are, let's say, it's a cheap version to do a good waterproofing before, let's say, your building is completely done, or after, let's say, injection hoses are designed to do the injection later with a less, let's say, working amount. You don't have to drill packers. You don't have to do the standard crack preparation for that. They are designed they will be installed inside the concrete to make sure that you do a waterproofing with less amount of work. And therefore, to fill and to let's say to fill the joint where they are placed in the field of the construction. Therefore, you need also let's say a material with a low viscosity and a long pot life. It is completely let's say not similar to the crack injection, but it comes in that way. You want to fill the whole area. You want to fill the whole joint where the hose is placed, and therefore you need long time. You need a long time of pot life to get this filled.
Exactly. It is used to inject the cold joints, but there is one main condition to be fulfilled. The injection hose has to be installed first before the concrete is poured. Like you have the bottom plate of the, let's say, underground garage, and you install the hose in the place where the walls will be built days later. But without an injection hose, you can't use it. So you have to first design it and install it, and then you can inject it. So this is the question: how can we, convince the decision makers on the job sites in our building projects to buy and use injection hoses?
Yeah, the main answer I can give you that is, if you have let's say in your joints, or if you have a water ingress later after the building will, or let's say the building will be used after 2 or 3 years, there's a let's say your joints are leaking, therefore you have to do a waterproofing, which means drilling, installing packers, inject, make it clean after the injection. There are a lot of work has to be done. If you use the injection hose and you place it before, or like you mentioned, you place it in a structure, you don't have to drill, you don't have to clean it after that. It makes it much more easier. The time for the injection.
So it's faster to seal this cold joint that is leaking. Yes. I assume that it's cheaper because you spend less time on the job site. You don't have to drill. You don't have to think about the connections between one part of the concrete and the other, where this cold joint is located. This is all the questions that has to be answered before you drill, not after you drill, definitely not after you inject. So you can make it faster and cheaper. This is it.
Yes, it is faster. It is much more cheaper, and it's much more efficient. If it's necessary, you can inject it after 2 or 3 years later. So it is not necessary to inject it immediately after the construction is, after your building is done, or the construction is done. It can be done later, which means you have options for later. It has to be not to be done immediately after the installation.
Yeah, actually, I was asked once if it's necessary to fill the injection hoses even if the construction is not leaking. I said no, keep these hoses in case of finding leakages years later. So it can be like an insurance.
Yes.
Staying in the concrete. Okay. Can we say that it's necessary to really know the situation on the job site to choose the right resin? Because we have mentioned at least 6 types of PU-based resins so far. So what are the main questions to be asked in order to choose the right one?
Yeah, it had to be a good crack analyst. There are cracks present on your construction there, and you have to ask the reason for that. Why are the cracks present, or what is the reason for that cracks? And therefore, it is necessary to observe this. Maybe the crack width, or what is the and finally the target for that. If the target is to do a structural repair, maybe you have to choose an epoxy, but this can be done maybe only on dry cracks. The reason should be clear. Why are these cracks present there, and what is the target to fill, or what is the target? How can we? What is the target for the injection?
So first investigation on the job site, then the injection technology, and then the application. Yes. This is the right order.
Yes.
Last question. I have talked to the person who uses only one type of PU-based resin, the foaming one, the one we mentioned in the beginning of our conversation. What would you tell to the person to convince him to really take, some other options?
I would tell him like we did in the past during our conversation. Look, we have to need the target first, and if the target is to seal the crack to 90%, and it is water-based crack, is water dropping coming out, then your 1K product is much too fast to fill it in the right ratio we need it. Your 1K resin is a foam resin. We should switch to the two-component long pot life, low viscosity to make sure to penetrate the crack in the right volume that we need. This is the main thing. I wouldn't use a one-component PU foam resin for crack repair. Let's say.
There is another solution, like if the person loves this kind of resin, he should only take the job sites where the goal is to stop the, fast leaking water.
Maybe you can leave the pot or the canister beside you, and if you have to if you have to stop the water first with a polyurethane foam resin, okay, just use this material to stop the water then. But please use for the crack repair to make sure that you penetrate also a 1 meter of thickness of the structure with the material. Then please use low viscosity material and a long pot life.
Yeah. Okay. This is it. I think we mentioned everything, at least for I hope so. And I also hope there will be some questions, concerning to our conversation. So we'll be happy together to answer them.
Yes.
In the end, I would like to ask you how our listeners can reach you. Where can you be found to ask some questions, maybe to discuss a job site with you. So if you could tell us.
Okay, the easiest way is I'm on LinkedIn. This is my main focus where you can ask me some questions. If you go on my profile, if you look at my profile, you can ask me some questions. You can discuss things about constructions around, maybe also some epoxy or acrylic gel systems.
Yeah,
sure. Or you go on my company address. My company name is Webac, so you can also contact me about this address. And this is my the two points where you can reach me.
I will just say that we will put this contact links in the notes of this episode, so everyone who is interested in staying in touch with you will be it can be easy to find you. Thanks a lot for this conversation,
Matthias.
I really hope to have you once again or even more. For another topics, as we can see, only PU-based resins, and we just spent over 40 minutes on our conversation. Thanks a lot. Have a good day, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Matthias. It was a great pleasure for me to be a part of this discussion, and let's see about the comments. And
I really can't wait for that.
I try to. I'm keen about this. So it was a great pleasure for me. And we have only a small amount we discussed, so it is much more
complex.
It is huge, complicated,
huge.
the whole area. So let's see what will be happen. Thank you for that, and take care. And have a good day.
Stay healthy and goodbye.
You too. You too. Goodbye.
Wow, lots of information. All we need to do is to give it a try, especially when it comes to stopping the high water flow. Thanks again for this, Stephan. Actually, can you see the need of making an episode discussing how to handle this one of the most difficult injection jobs? Who would you like to meet in a podcast as an expert in this field? Please drop a comment on this. Polyurethane-based resins are used in around 80% of all injection cases. It's truly wide range of applications. and there is a huge variety of them, so no wonder why it seems to be a difficulty in choosing the right product. When I first called to invite Stephan for this interview, I already knew that this was going to be absolutely amazing. Now, it's up to us designers, applicators and suppliers to take the best possible solution suited to the job site conditions. Thanks for listening, remember to subscribe, and I hope you tune in next time.